everyone, welcome to my episode 2, how I create this headshot. So first of all, I just want to say a huge thank you for all the feedback I have received after posting my last video. Seems like you guys really like this format, which makes me super happy. I'll try my best to keep improving those videos so you guys gonna get more informations and more details how I create my images. So today we're gonna jump in straight into discussing this particular image, and we're gonna go of course through the setup, and then we're gonna go through settings, and then we're gonna go through entire retouching process. In this case, the retouching was a crucial thing. I went through a lot of little details to kind of bring this image to the way you guys can see it right now, but we're gonna kind of go through this entire process step by step. So let's go first and talk a little bit about the setup. So as you guys probably see, the setup didn't change much from the last one. I'm pretty much using, I would say, the same setup for all my photo shoots. So as you guys probably can see, I have used two deep octas, one 39 inches as a main light, and then the kicker light was this 27 inches deep octa. I use of course my tinfoil backdrop. The size of this backdrop was about 2 meters wide and about 1.5 meters high. On the top of that, and if you guys gonna take a closer look, in addition to using the tin foil, I also use like a silver tape. You can get this at any Home Depot in Canada or United States, but it's like a basically silver tape which you use it for basically tape some pipes in the furnace. If you go there and you ask about silver tape, they will probably direct you. There's tons of them, they're different sizes, so I highly recommend buying this because it's very useful and adds additional dimension for your backdrop, which is extremely important, I found. And one of the biggest thing with people, and the biggest mistakes people do with the tin foil, that they wrinkle just a little bit and they put it flat. The more dimension you will create for your backdrop, basically the better results you're gonna get. So this is one of the important tips which gonna make your background looks way better. Wrinkle as much as you can, create dimension, and the results gonna be stunning. So on the top of that, I also use my silver reflector, which is from Last Light, and the size of it is about 37 inches. It's extremely important. I'm receiving a lot of questions why I'm using it. It's basically helping me to bounce the light from the main light and basically reflect it on the model face to basically fill the shadows and then make the light much softer. So this is the setup. As you guys probably also can see, the power is 132 of the power on the main light. The same thing is on the kicker light, and the backdrop I have used of course additional grid just to kind of get some kind of vignette type. Also wasn't kind of seeing much. I have to add some vignette in post-production, but I've in this particular case I use it. Plus on the top of that, I use blue gel to get this color, and this color you guys will see it's not was exactly what you guys can see on the final image, but we're going to discuss this how I actually tweak it a little bit to get this really nice tone of blue. But I use blue gel, and yeah, that's kind of was the starting point of creating this image. So we went through a bunch of different poses, different face expression. I work with Noel quite a bit. This shoot was actually done quite a bit long time ago, but I think it's gonna be worth it to bring it up because this type of images, it seems like they're most popular and people want to replicate. Okay, so let's jump into the settings. So the settings, again, I use my Nikon D800 with my Nikon 7200 VR2. I also use speed lights, as you guys probably know, and in this particular case I shot on SB910 and SB800. Pretty straightforward. We talk about the soft boxes, and then let's go into the details. So I shot this entire image at 200 mil the focal length. This is extremely important. That's what compressed the background, and that's what gives you this really nice bokeh. I shot this at 250 of a second f4, and the ISO was 125. So basically, let me kind of stop at f4. Let's discuss this a little bit more. This is extremely important because when you shoot at 200 mil, I think I discussed this a little bit in my previous video, but I just want to kind of point it out because a lot of people get confused about it. You want to make sure that entire face is sharp, and you need to shoot at least f 4.0 or higher, so 5.6 or even higher, because if you would shoot this at 2.8, you would have really hard time to get the eyes in sharp, because the sharpest distance is so kind of low that every small move would just basically throw you out of focus. So this is something extremely important. So this is when it comes to the settings, pretty straightforward. It's nothing I would say different. They're really similar. But if you guys are gonna have some additional questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Okay, so let's go into the retouching part. So I got this shot and I picked the one, and now it's time for the retouching. And retouching is also, I would say, crucial thing when it comes to getting the final results. I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand this a little bit, and they expecting that they're gonna get amazing shots straight from the camera. You're gonna get good lighting, you're gonna get good stuff, but it takes still a little bit of additional work to bring this image to the high level. So let's kind of go and see what I got as a raw file. So this was the raw file. This is the image, the way it looked straight from the camera. You guys can see it's a lot of difference. There's a lot of work done into it, but let's kind of go step by step, and I'm going to show you my entire process. So the first step, of course, is just a general cleaning. So I basically, let's kind of zoom out. You guys probably gonna see there's a lot of pimples, there's a lot of discolorations, there's a lot of things happening on her face. So basically the first step, I'm just kind of removing some of the pimples, some of those marks. She gets some mark from her ring, so I also decided to remove this because I don't think that looks it's gonna kind of basically bring the image to the next level. You guys see also she got a lot of freckles on her hands. The hand also is kind of like she was kind of leaning on the reflector, so you guys can see this little bump here, which we're gonna talk a little bit more about symmetry. So there's a lot of things. So the first step was, of course, removing all those stuff. You guys can see I was using the healing brush, this tool over here, and then we removed this whole thing. So you guys probably can see already this whole thing looks much cleaner, and looks basically this is the first step. The next step, of course, in my retouching process is dodge and burn. So you guys probably know every skin has a lot of discolorations on the skin, so we need to kind of even this whole thing out, and that's what done, basically dodge and burn. And this is the first one, so you guys probably can see underneath her eyes there's a lot of stuff on her chin over here. There's some shadows, and we basically remove this whole thing. So that was the kind of the second step of my retouching. So the third step, I wanted to basically enhance the eyes, to basically make them a little bit more pop, and yeah, so I brightened them a little bit. You don't want to go too far, so the eyes, they don't kind of look like an alien eyes. So you want to make sure this entire process is very subtle. I use, again, dodge and burn kind of technique to kind of make this work, and as you guys can probably see, that makes a huge difference. And also I work a little bit on the eyebrows, just to kind of darken them a little bit, just to kind of make the eyes pop even more. You want to be also very subtle with this, but that's the kind of results what I got. The next thing is basically the color toning. So this is before, this is after. So I went through a bunch of color balance. I did some, basically, let's kind of uncheck this whole thing and you guys can see. So basically the first step, I did a little bit of color. I want to make sure that her skin is a little bit more warmer, so I use color balance to kind of achieve that very subtle changes. The next thing I did to add a little bit of more contrast to it, and again, very subtle process. Then I use curves to even pop even more, I would say, contrast, just to kind of, she's going to look much more dimensional. And the fourth step was removing a little bit of the saturation. You want to make sure that the skin is much more subtle, and basically removing the saturation, that's going to help you pretty much to kind of make the skin looks much more natural. So that was the whole process, so you guys can see that makes huge difference. Okay, so the next thing what I've done, you guys probably can see that the background even has a lot of wrinkles, but there's still some spots which need to be adjusted, because there's some dark spots, and I'm not really big fan of it. I like when my backgrounds are fairly subtle and they have this nice texture and nice patterns. So basically I use basically the clone stamp to basically achieve that, and basically I just kind of copy some of those parts which looks good and fill those places which they need some basically some adjustment. Because for example, like if you guys can see on the bottom, this is like a hot spot, so when you look at the image, your eyes basically they're going away and they're going to this highlight bright spot, and I don't think it's good. So this is basically what needs to be removed. So the next step, and this is something which is extremely, I would say, interesting, and that's what a lot of people getting confused, I work on the actual color of the background. So basically I took this image to filter, and then I took this to camera raw filter, and there's one section where you can play with colors, and basically we adjust the colors. So you guys can see this blue from the raw file is kind of like not really, I would say, vibrant. The color is kind of not really saturated. The tone is what it is. It still could work, but I just wanted to create something which gonna give the image even more pop. And I found this kind of when you start playing with this, add some saturation, add some vibrancy to these colors, just gonna completely change the image. So this is what I've done. And then basically what I also have done, because if you're gonna work on that background, you're gonna basically make the changes to entire image. So what you have to do when you make those changes, you have to just cut out the person from the background. So I use mask here to cut it out. It was a really easy process. You don't have to go really step. You basically need to just work on the skin, rest of it basically, because in the raw file filter, you can actually just address specific colors, so it basically doesn't apply to the skin. So but still I've decided to basically cut her out, so those changes to the background didn't make impact on her skin, on her eyes, and some other stuff. So that was actually I don't know which one, but it was like several steps. Then the next step, I did some liquefying just to kind of give some symmetry to the image. So you guys probably can see here the arm. I just want to make sure it's much more smooth. There's a hair sticking out, so I've decided also to kind of work on this. And you go to filter, liquefy, and you basically make this image much more smooth. Just be gentle, don't kind of go crazy with this. I know some people just play the surgeon and they basically fix everything. So those are the things which kind of bugging your eyes. It's nice to kind of fix it. So the next step, I work on the hair. So as you guys probably see, there's a lot of flyovers here. So basically, let me kind of take a look here, and this is basically what I've done. Again, pretty easy process. I use healing brush over here, the spot healing brush, I'm sorry, this one, and basically you just run over those basically flyovers, and yeah, and then you can clean it up just to make the hair looks much more cleaner. So the next step, let me kind of take a look. I add a little bit of color to the lips. So basically the same thing. I use selective color, and then I use mask to kind of separate this whole thing. So you guys probably can see the lips look a little bit, I would say, better. The color is much more rich, and basically just basically looks a little bit better. Okay, so the next step, I work also on her lip. That you guys can probably see the makeup was a little bit off, so I've decided to kind of like make this whole thing a little more even, so it's not kind of as obvious. Very subtle change, but you know, just makes this image more symmetrical and looks a little bit better. So the next step, of course, is the last run of dodge and burn. So I do this all the time after making all the changes, changing the colors, doing some color grading and all this stuff. It's important to run another dodge and burn, do this again, because I found that's a lot of those colors get shifted, and then some of those things just kind of pop up, and it's important to do this. So that was the second thing. So you guys probably see, this again, very subtle change, but add something to the image. In this particular case, I did a little bit of also frequency separation. Let's kind of click it. I've noticed that those shadows over here, they basically, they kind of like very harsh. So typically I don't use frequency separation, but in this particular case I've decided to do just a little bit underneath her eye and on her forehead, just to kind of fix some of those things which were bugging me. And the last thing what I've done in this case, I add vignette just to kind of make her pop even more. So very also subtle step, but you can do that in basically, you go to filter, you go to the camera raw filter, and there's one section which only do the vignette for the image. So if you want to see more details, I have tutorial which I will link it down below, so you guys can basically purchase it. It's very inexpensive, but it's going to take you through all those steps in more detail, and you guys can see exactly how I actually do it. So let's kind of take a closer look how this whole thing look like. So let's uncheck all those steps, so you guys probably can see there's quite a bit. So that was before, and that was after. So that was before, that was after. Let's kind of take a closer look over here, some of those details of the skin. Yeah, it looks much different. The skin is much more clean, the tones are much warmer, and of course the background itself, even emphasize her skin tones and colors. So I hope you guys like this short video. Please feel free to contact me if you guys gonna have any additional questions or concerns or anything you would like to add to this. And yeah, I'll be continuing to do those videos. I'm gonna try to go through different setups, different scenarios, and then help you guys to basically recreate those images. So again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll chat with you guys very soon. Bye bye.